This is Read the Tape, where we cut through the noise, the hype, the headlines to figure out what's really going on. I'm Mike Shapiro, real estate entrepreneur, mentor, and guy who's been through enough cycles to know the tape never lies. Here we talk about business, life, relationships, leadership, and how to stay clear where the world feels upside down. Because success isn't luck, it's pattern recognition. And if you can learn to read the tape, you can play the game smarter, sharper, and stronger. Let's get into it. I'm Mike Shapiro. Welcome back to Read the Tape. Today's episode is about charisma. I have a real estate team in Newport Beach, and I'm excited to have two of my team members here. And I think that it'll be really exciting for the audience to see how I coach and their interaction, and also questions they ask. We're going to talk about charisma and talk about their inner genius, what motivates them. And what I did is I saw both of them had that inner genius, both of them had natural charisma, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see that unfold in this episode. I want to define what does charisma mean? What does it mean? It means different things to different people, but I really look at it in sort of baskets, okay? There is electric charisma, that's somebody who walks in the room, and there's nothing particularly interesting about the way they look or way they're dressing or whatever. It's just some personality trait. They just walk in the room, they sort of vibrate. We don't know what that is, but you can always feel it. And it's really something that I love to look at in people to see if I can bring that out even more so. There's also visual charisma. Visual charisma is that all of us have dealt with people that are so incredibly good looking, and people want to just do business with them no matter what. And so if you're lucky to be born that way, awesome. But it's visual, but you also need something more than that. So it gives you a leg up sometimes and sometimes not if you don't follow through with the rest of the charismatic qualities. There's another thing called physical charisma. Physical charisma is how are you animated? What kind of presence do you have? How is your confidence coming through? So it's a physical in nature. Someone can say, maybe I'm more physical in nature in my charismatic qualities. When I enter the room, I'm doing things to create sort of havoc, or I'm doing things to attract attention. Of course, I love attention. I've loved it since I've been a kid. I can't remember the last time. I think I was in elementary school, and my parents were like, the kid's going to want to be an actor or something like that. It's really funny. Thank God I didn't do that, and I didn't really make all of you miserable with me being an actor, because I would be a terrible actor. So these are the way I like to sort of categorize charisma. So when I look for team members, when I look for people in sales, because I run sales teams, and I've done it for many, many years, I look for charismatic qualities. It's really within seconds. Somebody comes into the room, I ask them a few questions, and within seconds I can determine, hey, what's going on? Is there something I can coax out of them? Do they already have it? Is something that I can enhance, something that I can magnify? And so I'm always looking for that spark, because that spark, especially in real estate sales or most sales, is what it's all about. Remember, charisma is different in different mediums. Charisma on video, like you're looking at me right now or listening to me, is different. Verbal or physical charisma is different on video or Zoom. Many of you may notice that, than when you're in person. Specifically in real estate, which is what I'm coaching these two gentlemen, is very much in person. Okay, it's probably verbal at first, and then it's in person. So those are different types of charismatic qualities, and you have to learn how to adjust each type of quality. There are people, have you ever noticed that you can be around people, what is this old story? Never meet your heroes. So there's somebody that was a newscaster. I'm not going to name it. And this newscaster I actually got a chance to meet and had a meeting with. He was a massively famous newscaster. And his visual charisma, his ability verbally on camera was vastly different in person. And when I met him in person, he's he's an author and everything else. He was boring. I'm like, where'd you go? You evaporated. Never meet your heroes. I was disappointed in some ways, but obviously his body of work shows beyond that. So it's just interesting to see how different charisma plays out in different forms and in different ways that one communicates. So here are my team members. We have Matt Eddy. Thank you, Matt, for coming.
Of course.
That was amazingly charismatic right there. That was great. And we have Max Shapiro. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
My pleasure. Max is not related to me, although I probably way back he's related somehow.
Back.
Really sorry about that. So anyway, we bring both of these gentlemen in, and it's going to be interesting. So let's just start off by asking one question. Matt, what do you think your charisma is? What do you think is your inner genius?
I think my inner genius would be, or in my inner charisma, would be confidence. I think having it together and walking into a room and knowing what I have to offer.
Okay. So do you build that confidence through what?
Knowledge.
Okay.
Being put together in many different ways, whether it's physically, my attire, being in shape, but also knowing what I have to offer in terms of knowledge and how to help them accomplish their goals in terms of real estate.
So you feel like your inner genius, your inner charisma is your confidence and your research or your capability associated with whatever you're doing.
Right.
Like you exude confidence.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Right, great. Max, what do you think your inner genius is, or what your charismatic quality is?
I think it has to do a lot with confidence as well. And also,
There's a lot of confidence here.
yeah. Also, like listening to people as well. I feel like I'm a good listener, and it makes them, want to talk to me more. But, and the confidence just comes from preparation. You prepare enough, and you're knowledgeable enough about what your profession is or what you do here in real estate, you're going to feel confident because you've put in the work. So that's where I think a lot of it comes from for me.
Have you always been confident?
Not always, I would say. Growing up, I was always confident. There was a time in my life where I maybe felt less confident, out of college when I wasn't really knowing what to do. And that was definitely a period where, I saw other people making progress and maybe I was in the standstill and I didn't feel as confident for a few years. But, now I'm on this quest of just developing confidence every single day and getting more and more confident as the time goes on. And I think it's a very important quality to have. And
All right.
that's that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what was it about me when you met me that made you believe that I had the charisma or the potential to be great?
So I look at you more as like drive, like you have this hunger in you that you want it really badly. You want to be successful and you're going to do everything in your power to make it happen. So what I saw as your charismatic quality was like, I'm going to make this happen. You're not saying it, you're not verbal about it, but there's like an energy about you that I'm like, oh, it's really interesting. Like you want it really badly and you're going to make it happen. Whatever it takes, however I have to do it, whatever I need to learn or be, I want to be one of the best real estate agents in Newport Beach. Did I get that right? Mm-hmm. So that to me was the driver for you. So to me, your inner genius is like showing everyone that. And it may materialize in confidence is what you talked about. It may materialize that way. But I think what people will love about you is that I will always get it done. And also you have a tremendous amount of integrity. Like I noticed that you're really very careful and you really want to do right by people. It just seems to be a general nature that you have, which is awesome, especially in real estate. So that's what I see. So if I see coaching you, I want to bring that part of you out. I want you not necessarily verbalize it, but it's something that I want to bring out because I think that is an amazing that's an amazing charismatic quality. And people want to be around people like that. People want to be around like he's driven. It's almost a sports analogy in a lot of ways, and you are an athlete after all. So I think that's really what I see.
So would it be something that you feel like can be expressed more externally?
Yes, I do, definitely. So we've talked about that.
Yeah. And
so I think that you're reserved, which is fine. And
Sure.
I'm not trying to remake your personality. I think that would be a mistake. So it's just like an enhancement of what, knowledge. I think that comes through success. So as you become more successful in your career, then that, freedom of expression will, for lack of a better description, will come out. So I think that part of you has to come out. Like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do this. I want to do this. And invariably, other people have spoken at you, especially the manager in the Coldwell Banker office, has actually spoken about, not in the way I said it to you, but spoken about your drive. And like, you really are a very good person and you want to make it happen. So that's what I saw. I'm like, oh, cool. Because that's a great quality, an amazing quality to have in every walk of life. So you just have to learn every part of it. Just as we discussed earlier in the show, it's different types of communication have different abilities you have to be able to communicate that. If it's on the phone, if it's in person, you're like, what does that mean? And you fool around with that.
Right.
You see what works.
Yeah, and that's something that, attracted me to you as well, is I picked up on the fact that you would have the ability to help me bring that out. It's there,
Thank you.
but it needs to. I recognize that it needs to come out a little bit more. Maybe not even a little bit more, maybe a lot. But I think you're dead on as far as with success, being able to just kind of walk in with that knowledge, understanding, confidence, knowing that I'll be able to execute.
Yeah, it's freedom of expression. Freedom of expression comes
Freedom of
from
expression. There you go.
freedom of expression comes from feeling
Thank you.
not having sort of we all have these self barriers. Like we all stop ourselves. Like what is it going to look like?
Sure.
What's it going to sound like?
Right.
So it's just like it's almost just letting yourself. And it sounds ridiculous. Almost letting yourself go and say, how's this going to work?
Right.
But showing that you really want this to happen for them as your clients, and obviously for yourself as well. But that's great. It's like every great salesperson has that quality, some part of that quality. They have other qualities, and you'll learn that. You'll learn like, hey, what triggers that emotional context? Because real estate is physical nature. You're actually usually you're present with the person. You have to show a house. House is physical. It's a different kind of sale. You're not selling something that is a commodity. You're selling something that somebody has to go into and they're smelling and they're experiencing. So you have to be part of that sale. So excellent.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I've noticed that you talk to every single person, including their dogs and everyone else.
It's a real problem. I can have a whole conversation with a wall,
Right.
Like I actually have, but we won't get into that.
Have you met anyone in your interactions that wanted to maybe work with you and have you coach them, where you're like, I don't really see enough charismatic quality?
Yes. Which is horrible thing for me to say. So the answer is yes and no. So I never ever want to turn somebody, like I don't ever want to give a negative, leaving somebody with a negative situation, because everyone, I really, really believe this, everyone has an inner genius. And what is that inner genius? And that is really what needs to be applied to whatever career they want to be. But specifically to the real estate business, which is a very specific type of charisma, I think, yes, I have seen that. And so I tend to say things like, maybe there's another job or something that would be more usable for them or whatever their lane is. Because part of the things I teach people, stay in your lane. So sometimes, yes. And it's really hard when that happens, because I don't want to, if somebody wants it really badly, and how do you disappoint them? How do you say, because how do you steer them? So yeah, it's a great question. And it's one of the toughest things that I have to deal with. If somebody asks for help and I say, I can't. Or sometimes even worse is I'll see something in someone and they refuse to learn it, or they refuse to switch gears, or they stay on the same pattern. The pattern keeps repeating itself. So that's happened many times where I see it, hey, let's bring this out, and they refuse to do what's necessary to create the success. And they'll stay in their unfortunate situation.
Lack of coachability.
Yes, lack of coachability. Coachability is critical. I tend to work, I'm not saying that everyone has to be an athlete, but I tend to work better with athletes for multiple reasons. I think most athletes have started early in their careers to be coached. And so subsequently they're used to that kind of interaction, and it's just easier for me. I'm not saying I don't coach people who haven't been athletes, but I was an athlete and I just react that way. In fact, sometimes my coaching would be a little strong, and that's why I probably have a 51% approval rating, which is, I guess, the 51% of people like
it
me.
may not be everybody's cup of tea.
Right. So, but I think it's easier. So. But great question.
So, Mike, because you guys are just saying, your coaching style may not fit everyone. Do you ever see yourself having to adjust your style to bring out that charismatic quality that someone has?
Great question. Yes. 100%. So I tend to see the reaction, and this goes back to, I'm sorry, read the tape. I tend to read the tape of the personality. I tend to hey, how are they reacting to me? So I fool around with how are they communicating, and if I'm communicating, they're understanding what I'm saying. So I will adjust my coaching to fit their specific communication style to see if I can bring out that inner genius or bring out that charismatic quality.
Right.
Great question. Yes.
Yeah.
And that happens with everyone.
Sure.
It's not just like, I really think coaching is very specifically very granular in this business, because everybody's personality is different. And I think one of the biggest failures in general in real estate is that people hire these coaches, and I laugh because it's like one size fits all. Like, so they'll say things like, I want you to door knock, 100,000 doors. It's absurd. Well, of course, it's in the numbers. Like, there's a numbers game. Or I want you to mail 1 million postcards. And how successful I am. Or I always say, like, that's almost ridiculous. It's really about how do I generate the personality so that it matches what they're best at, and then most people would interact with that. So if you look at the top real estate agents specifically, because that's what we're talking about in coaching, they all have that spark.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has that je ne sais quoi or that's inner genius charisma. Every single one. So yes, it has got to be adjusted. So to follow in what you're saying, 100%, I need to adjust what I'm doing to try to create that click.
Sure. And would you agree that charisma is recognized the first interaction you see with someone, or when you meet someone?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. It's just like when you see a house. How many seconds, you both answer this, how many seconds do they have when somebody walks in a house? When do they decide they want the house?
The moment they walk in, I would say.
15 seconds.
I think there's an actual study, right? Is it 15 seconds?
I think it's like 15.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
So they walk in a house, whatever their reaction is, and suddenly that's it.
Right.
And they, unless there's something dramatically wrong with it, that's a house.
Right.
So how many seconds do you think you both have? How many seconds?
I think it's immediate. I think I recognize it right away. I would say less than a minute.
Okay.
I would say really the first number that comes to my head is like 10 seconds.
Okay. So can we fix that? So can you buy more time? Is that a fixable situation? So in other words, if you have 10 seconds, like you say, both of you say, do you have time to fix it? Do you have time to go into your reservoir of inner genius or charismatic qualities, because you're reading them quickly as well, aren't you? Like, this isn't working or it's working. Can you fix it?
I think you're fighting an uphill battle. I think it can be corrected, but I think it needs to be done in fairly short order.
Absolutely.
You can only have one chance to make a first impression.
I totally disagree. You have multiple chances to make a first impression.
Okay.
It's a matter of like the ability to draw from your, like to say a reservoir again, of your inner genius or your charismatic quality. So yes, you're correct. You have seconds, as we all, everyone says, I'm not judgmental. You're all judgmental. Everyone walks around, they're judgmental. They're looking, they're acting, they're smelling, whatever they're doing, they're just judgmental. But can you correct that? 100%. Why? Part of my charismatic quality, not that you need to know that right now because you can see me just chatting away, is my verbal skills. So I can sense someone's like, oh boy, and I'll just try to swim into what they're looking for. I'll try to find that location of what they want to interact with me. Try to find that and see if I can bring that out. So yes, you have that chance too. Chance 3 is I'll use comedy. In other words, this is not working. Like every comedian goes up there and they're falling flat. Then they'll make fun of themselves. So the third part is a third chance is I'll make fun of myself. Like, this is not working. What do I do to fix this?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're right. And what you want to do is make sure that you're always listening and learning from every single person you're interacting with, because then you can pull from that instinctual reservoir of your inner genius and then say to bring them back in. So yes, it's not like the house, because the house can't react.
So going off of coaching, Mike, do you think charisma can be taught, or is it something that someone's naturally born with?
Both. So some people are just born with charisma. I was born with, it's funny. I was born with this,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous to say.
Right.
Or you can be taught. And I've learned how to be different, like as far as charismatic qualities. And I've also taught people about charisma. So what I look for up front is what you're born with.
Yeah.
Like, what are you born with? Like, what happened with you? What kind of charisma are you born with? So specifically to you, you have tremendous physical presence. So you walk in a room, you like the attention, you don't want anyone to know that, but you're quiet about it, but that's like your charismatic quality. Now I got to teach you some of the other qualities as far as like how do you get somebody to come in? How do you get that confidence building? So that's like some additional charismatic qualities that are in there 100%. So you can learn, but it's always, it's both.
Yeah.
And so, it gets the question of like, what happens if, someone has no visual or like I can't find something in there. Every single person has some level of charismatic quality. It doesn't matter who they are, and you have to direct them to a career that probably is more effective to what their natural abilities are. You have to direct them like, hey, you know what? You're probably better at this. Their confidence is in a certain way. So like, it's a classic computer programmer. Who like I don't want to, or the classic gamer that doesn't want to have any interaction with any other human being, but they do actually. They have an entire world and charismatic quality with a machine or with others on the machine. So that yes, it's something that they have and something that they should do, and they become incredibly successful. So this isn't just one way or the highway.
Yeah,
we're talking about real estate. Real estate is very, very much in person, and it's very physical in nature, and so we're talking about those charismatic qualities.
right. So there's different types of charisma. You're saying
100%.
Would you say that there's, 2 or 3 qualities that you must have to develop that charisma, or is there no common theme?
Great question. Coachability. Can you learn? Are you able to learn? So I try to figure that out early on. Can someone actually, take advice and not be personal about it? Is someone defensive immediately? If someone's defensive, it's very difficult to teach someone's defensive. I don't know why they're defensive. I've dealt with that in the past where they're defensive and suddenly it's over and over and over again. And it's like, okay, well, this isn't going to work.
Sure.
But they may be successful in something. They may very well be successful in a specific career they've chosen or whatever that is.
Right.
So if you're in an industry where perhaps your charismatic qualities don't suit that particular industry, is there anything you can do? Can you hire someone maybe to help you in that regard in the industry?
You can hire charisma, 100%.
Okay.
You really can hire charisma.
Okay.
So most products out there are hired charismatic quality. So the whole influencer industry is designed around a medium associated with people are attracted to them because of their charisma on camera or in social media or something that they're doing. And so subsequently they're being hired to sell a product. So yes, you can do that. It's a little tougher in real estate to do that. I'm trying to think of somebody who's done that. I guess there are teams where that's happening, but I think it's something that if you're in this business, it's something you have to learn for yourself, I think, ultimately, in order to really succeed. But yes, almost every other industry that you're trying to sell a product. However, I'll give you this. In a situation where you're doing advertising, and so there are real estate agents who've been very effective on social media, or whatever the case may be, and they want to hire someone to be in their social media to create more of a buzz and create more charismatic qualities, that may work really well. So yes, the answer is yes.
But I kind of wanted to go back to something we were talking about earlier as far as, pulling out certain qualities, because not everybody has the same charismatic qualities as other people. Certain things work for some people that may not work for others, and vice versa. As far as your coaching, really kind of trying to pull out what works best for your clients, or not really your clients, but your team members. When you're trying, because you can't fit a square peg into a round hole, right? So
yes,
when you're coaching with people, or when you're coaching people, how are you looking for the things that are going to work best? Is it just kind of like a trial and error thing, or when you meet them and you converse with them over a particular amount of time, are you able to really kind of pinpoint them into a direction?
It takes time. It's not like a perfect. There's nothing. This is a social science, and it's just sort of like economics. It's not, I guess there's math associated with this for the most part. it's about me getting to know the person and then trying to analyze what's happening or what's working or not. I learn every day from other people. So I learn, sometimes I may think something and something else happens, or they're finding success with something. So what do I do first and foremost? I've done this with you. I want you out and about everywhere. I want you, eating lunch alone. I want you in the gym. I want you walking the neighborhoods. I want you, this is about exposure. So then I can learn from you. Like, how did that work? What did happen? Did something happen? Did you get a good reaction from that? So specific to your situation, what anyone, because then I switch gears. Hey,
Yeah.
that worked or that didn't work, or and then I figure out like what's being positive. Ultimately, this is a numbers game, and ultimately it's about getting the listing or getting the buyer and then closing the deal. So It doesn't matter what I do. If I can't get you to that finish line, then I fail as a coach. And, how do I get you to that finish line? How do I get you more business, more closes?
And I appreciate that approach because, there's, in my history of coaching, I've tended to take their words and apply them, right? Whether it's direction or whatever. But I appreciate your willingness to pivot if necessary, because
you have to teach me how to teach you.
Right.
The best people who teach, that's what they do. The people who get the most direct capability of really getting through to whatever that subject matter is they're learning from their audience. It's the most effective form. How many times have you all gone to schools? You're all, college graduates. You've gone to school. How many times do you react to a professor because they're listening to you or they're adjusting to their crowd?
Yeah. Similar in
Always.
sports too. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had coaches where they brought out something in me that I didn't have from a different coach, and
Right.
I performed better on the field that way. And that's what we were kind of touching on earlier as far as
So you play football.
correct.
So you play college football, which is incredible, right? So, some of the most celebrated coaches of our time are football coaches or college football coaches or professional football coaches. Why is that? What happened? What did they do? What is their driver? Why? Why do you think that is?
I mean, first off, it's just their track record of winning. But a lot of that has to deal with relating to their players and bringing out the best in their players.
Exactly.
I mean, you've seen, as an example, I don't know how much, like, Saquon Barkley is a great running back. He was on the Giants a couple years ago and wasn't performing as what everyone thought he would do. Now he's on the Eagles, and he just won the Super Bowl last year, and he's dominating the league. So I think
it was coaching.
Yeah, I think. And the
was
New York
coaching.
Giants coaches, some would say he wasn't as great of a coach.
But he was a good coach for the players that interacted, or they were teaching him something he needed to teach them.
Right.
So yes, I mean, I have been around many football coaches, and sometimes it's an incredible experience to see how I get motivated.
Yeah.
Like their ability to communicate, to bring that passion of whatever they're trying to do. So yeah, but it's really pretty granular. So the best football coaches are studying the player, right? And they're studying what they're doing on the field. So maybe sometimes off the field.
Right.
And how do they sort of direct to get that best performance?
Yeah.
It's similar.
Yeah.
find out what their strengths are
100%.
and scheme around that.
Yes.
Draw up a scheme that's going to highlight their talents, right? Because not every defensive lineman or linebackers or whatever are going to have the same abilities. Their abilities might be equal and they might be great, but they're different. So you have to find a way to get them and put them into a position where they're going to be successful.
Yeah.
100%. What's the biggest difference, as we're making these analogies or metaphors, what's the difference between sports as far as success and charisma, you've seen these athletes, and business? What do you think the biggest difference is?
The biggest difference between sports
Sorry, this is a great question.
and business.
Of course, I said it.
is good.
Yeah, it's an amazing question.
It's a good question.
You answered it before. What's the number one thing? Somebody wins, somebody loses. It is black and white,
Right.
right? You won, you lost. That's it.
Yeah.
You walk away. What happens in business?
You win or you learn.
Right. I like that. That's good. So you don't necessarily know if you win or you lose. My father used to say to me, there's no gray, Mike. There's only one decision. Make the right decision, which is really funny. But in business, it's not so black and white. You don't necessarily know if you win. Sometimes you win halfway. Sometimes you know. Sometimes you have to take a listing with somebody else. I didn't really want to do that. Something you have, there are other things. So that's the biggest difference. So that sales ability or that inner genius or that charismatic quality or your athletic ability is a little different because it's really at the end of the game, you won or you lost, or you whatever sport you're in.
How much, like now we're getting into sales and things like that, sure. How much of sales do you think is charisma?
That's a great question.
Especially when it comes to a listing appointment. I feel like having the charisma at that listing appointment face to face is huge.
I think it's everything.
You think it's everything? And
I hate saying that because I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I just look at the performance parameters of the biggest agents, and invariably, and I've had a lot of work for me. Some of the biggest agents in the country have worked for me.
Right.
I've had the privilege of having that, and an honor to have that.
Yeah.
And they've taught me that element is everything. But it comes in different. I don't want to name names, but it comes in so many different types. Like it's not like do this.
Yeah.
Like I just like look for that and how do I get that person to that place?
Right.
Right.
So
I don't know one agent, to my knowledge, that doesn't have that spark in one way or another.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, depends how you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since you have charisma, fortunately.
Yeah. Right.
So for what this is worth, this may be good, this may be not. There's a guy by the name of Brandon Bouchard. I don't know if anybody ever heard of him.
Heard of him? I've heard of him, yeah.
I was at a real estate expo in LA a few years back, and he came on. He was one of the last speakers, and he was telling a story about how he was like 19, got into a wreck that almost killed him. I cannot remember if it killed his friend or not, but I'm not really an emotional person, but this guy had me like really feeling what he was talking about. Like he was really, really good, and he was a really good speaker because almost in real time, I noticed how he was like super somber, and then he picked it up, and he had you on this kind of roller coaster of a story, and ultimately moving into a more positive outlook, results, etc. But how it changed his life, and so it stuck with me. I say all that, in part because I'm not really taken by people very often. I guess it takes a special type of person or speaker to really pull me into one of their stories and have me on somewhat of an emotional journey with them. So that was really kind of an example for me. But, do you guys have any?
I'd love to break that down because I think that is really interesting, charismatic quality. So that is one of the most difficult of charismatic qualities, and this is really interesting for me to talk to you about. So you're drawn into emotional charismatic quality. So the storyteller, that is a charismatic quality. The person who can express a story that can bring emotional context, that can bring their audience into their world. Mm-hmm. It takes a long time to do that, but it's incredibly effective sales tool. Yeah. I mean, it's real. So he's telling a real story. You can always sense when it's not, but that's a really tough thing. But it's interesting for me for you to say that because I now know that that's something that you personally, if you are sold by something, you're more than likely that is a part of you that can be reversed or reverse engineered for you to learn how to do that yourself. Okay, that emotional capability. So I didn't know that about you, this is great. So I'm trying to think for myself, who do I find? I find humor, like people that are funny to me, I just immediately react. So if they're immediately funny or sarcastic or flippant, whatever, or they're angry, any kind of emotional that I find really funny, and that tends to be the charisma that I personally am attracted to. If somebody's hilarious, I react to them. And I probably would be more than likely to buy something for that person, whatever they're selling. If they're funny about it, or they make fun of me or something like that, then I react to that. Yeah. How about you?
Yes. For me, I mean, I get motivated by people or inspired, and that's what kind of draws me to them. As far as getting, like, for example, Kobe Bryant, I always watch interviews on him, and you could just see, like, what I really like to emulate or try to is just that fire in his eyes that people, you could see how serious he was about his craft, and the way he spoke and how eloquent he was. That's something I try to replicate. I mean, I'm not Kobe Bryant, but I'm just saying that that's someone who motivates me. And there's other people like Brian Tracy. He's a sales trainer. He's old school. But, there's so many sales trainers out there. Something about Brian Tracy that I like. And he motivates me. He gets me to do what I need to do. Other people can't get me that way. And like I said earlier, different coaches that I've had in my life, they were able to get me to do things that I otherwise wouldn't unless I was around them or learned from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So for me, like I'm really learning a lot today.
Yeah.
So like sports are a big part of your, and so that type of interaction is important to you from the perspective of how your motivation and your charismatic quality. So
Yeah.
those types of behaviors or those types of interactions are really important to you, which is great because that's something you can replicate, something you can learn how to do.
Right.
Like what are they doing or how are they doing it?
Right.
What is that confidence?
Sure.
So like Kobe, and it's unfortunate what happened to him, but he was an amazing charismatic player.
Yeah.
In interviews, on the court, he was a team person. He had all of those qualities, amazing qualities.
Yeah.
I had the luck to meet him several times.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which was really was fascinating. And his in person was similar.
Yeah.
It's very like you gravitated to him.
Right.
And of course, who he is, but in the same token, even on a one-on-one conversation, he was, very engaged.
Sure.
and
I'm sure
charismatic.
he was able to just get you locked in right away.
Yes,
yeah.
he did.
He had that. He has that something about him, and that's what I try. You want
Right.
people to just lock in on you and listen to every single word you're saying. And I think that's to do with a lot with charisma is being able to make eye contact when you're talking to someone too.
Yes.
And just look right at them. And it makes them feel confident in you, and it also shows that you're confident. Being able to just look someone in the eye, something as simple as that.
Yeah, this is a really great comment because once you develop that charismatic or that capability and you become very successful,
Yeah.
I will call it the Kobe effect.
Sure.
Then it's easier for you. You become very successful. So before you even enter the room, people are already reacting to your reputation or your capability.
Yeah.
So you see the biggest agents, it makes it easier for them. They have all of this under their belt. Doesn't mean they don't need to continue to perform and be capable, but they have that ability. So there's an ease. It's immediately, there's credibility, which is what we all crave and want. And once you achieve that, even though I know that personally, once you achieve that credibility, it does make it easier.
Right.
You don't have to be necessarily, it sounds terrible, but you always have to be on, but you don't have to be as on as you were before once you achieve that goal. It does make it easier.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, I want to talk about charisma again, and also the fact that I am honored and privileged to coach these two young men, and I think they're going to be incredibly successful. So let's wrap this up. What is charisma? Charisma is your inner genius, what you're made to do, how you're made to communicate, and it comes in every form. We've discussed it at great length. And so it's about what makes you tick and how do you put that forward, and what that way that ticks inside of you, how does somebody else react to you? How are they attracted to you? How do they want to do business with you? How do they want to do anything with you? How do they want to make a sale with you? So that's what it's all about. So it's learning those behaviors of what is inside of you, and every single one of you has that. And how do you bring that out in the forefront in order for you to achieve whatever goal that you're trying to achieve?
Well, thank you, for having me today. I learned a lot, and I look forward to learning a lot more. You have accomplished a lot, and so you have my respect, and I'm looking forward to what we can do together.
Thank you, Matt. It was very nice of you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, it's been a great experience today. I appreciate everything. Definitely learned a lot from you and continuing to learn from you. You've accomplished a lot of things, and I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm happy to go on this ride with you, and we're looking forward to the future, so I appreciate this.
Thank you, Max. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's it for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. I really appreciate both of you being here, and we will see you next week. That's it for today's episode of Read the Tape. If you like what you heard, make sure you're following me everywhere people argue about ideas. I'm talking about everywhere. Instagram, Meta, TikTok, YouTube, all under Shapiro Method. And please be sure to download and like the podcast. I'm on LinkedIn as Mike S. Shapiro, where people post their resumes and call it thought leadership. And of course, you can find this podcast on all platforms, including the ones that haven't even been invented yet. That's my line. I'm keeping it. I'm Mike Shapiro reminding you the tape never lies, but people usually do. See you next time.